Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. What is the PMP certification? Presented by the Managing Director at Velopi, Seamus Collins. We are in Zoom for today's session, and we will be sharing a copy of this recording with you in an email after the webinar. We do encourage participation throughout the webinar, so please use that chat or the Q&A option for our short Q&A after the presentation. Educate 360 is so excited to present this webinar today. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to you, Seamus.
All right. Thank you, Mariella. I'm Seamus Collins. As Mariella said, I've been helping people with their PMP certification for a long time, over 17 years to be specific. So I've gone through many versions of the PMP exam over the years, and hopefully there's very little I don't know about the exam at this point and what it involves. But I do spend a lot of time answering questions for people, and there's maybe often confusion about, what is it, etc. And that's what the purpose of today's webinar is. And, here at the start, of the presentation, these are the questions that usually come up. What is it in the first place? They've heard about it, or, PMI, PMBOK, PMP, and we clear that up is the first question. And then people might say, why would I want it? And we can talk through that. Then, okay, how do I get it? Can I buy it? How much work is involved? And then I like to give people a sneak preview into the content just to show how relevant it is to people in project management. And then what do we do to help you? What do Velopi do? What do Educate 360 do? How does our program help you get PMP certified as quickly as possible in a risk-free way, and also a very cost-effective way to make sure you pass that exam and get on with your professional career? Okay. If there's any other questions, just pop them in the chat and Mariella will ask me at the end of the session. Or you can reach out to me as well through LinkedIn or whatever means, just to ask questions. Because sometimes people have questions and they don't want to ask them in a public forum. But again, as I said, just pop your question into the chat here, because more than likely somebody else has the exact same question as well, or thinking about it. Okay, so let's start off. Clear up some of the language. What is PMP certification? PMP is Project Management Professional. It's a certification from the PMI, Project Management Institute. Okay, so the institute is like the governing body. One of their certifications is the PMP. They have other certifications as well, like the Certified Associate in Project Management, the Agile Certified Professional, the Program Manager Professional, and Scheduling Professional. And I've done a lot of those, but the process is very similar. But the most widely recognized one is the PMP, all right? And you can see there, 1.2 million people have this, and maybe a lot more at this point. But the main thing is that there's a lot of project managers out there, and this is the one, I suppose, that a lot of people aspire to get. It validates really, you as a project manager, because project management for many of us is an accidental profession in a way, because you ended up becoming a project manager, maybe not by accident. You ended up in that position managing the project, and maybe after a while then you say, actually, I need some certification that would underpin this, to show that I am actually doing it right. So that's where PMP comes in. I suppose it validates your competence, really. Okay, why would you want it? Well, in many organizations that we speak with every day, there's hundreds of millions of dollars being spent on projects. There's projects in every business. And more work is being projectized, for the want of a better word, in that every piece of work now, no matter if there's a scope, a time, a cost, it's a project. If there's resources needed, if there's risks, it's a project. And project management is the tool set we would use to get that work done. So projects are big business, and it's a growing area. And I saw in a recent, talent report, the need for nearly 90 million people, with project management as their title. And if you look at any job board at the moment, you'll see that one of the prerequisites, PMP certification required, PMP certification an advantage, PMP certification necessary, whatever. So it's become quite a screening criteria for a lot of companies. And the thing about it is we need more project managers. because more and more work is there, and you'll know this from your own company. But the big thing is there's a huge amount of money wasted. One of the stats here from the Pulse of the Profession said about 10% is wasted. So whatever, you could be spending 100 million, 200 million in your company, but studies would say that, 20 million of that is totally wasted. So we don't just need more project managers, we need better ones. And I suppose that's at least where the PMP is helping us, is to say, take that person and round them out and upskill them in the different facets of project management, the different best practices, and that's when we'll see the curriculum in a moment. It's not maybe what you would think about, oh, it's only going to be about scoping and scheduling and budgeting. We're going to see that there's a lot more to the PMP course now in terms of preparing a person to be a project manager in a big company, and even a big or a small company, because the money at stake is so big on these projects. Why would you want to get it? I suppose as well, just to go further, we've seen from salary surveys that, people, I said already, it's a screening criteria, but you see more and more, besides being a screening criteria, people that have the certification get more money, right? So again, they're valid reasons either to underpin your experience, to get you up to date on the latest tools and techniques, but also to get you more money, maybe that promotion, that pay rise. And in some of our customers, you cannot take on a project above a certain size unless you're PMP certified. So you might hit that ceiling yourself pretty soon. And you don't want to be trying to get the PMP when the job gets advertised. It's good if you have it ready. And that's what some people call me. They say, Seamus, job's been advertised. They want someone certified. How quickly can I get it? And then they're disappointed because, they realize that the time needed is probably longer than the time they have, But again, start to plan ahead. How do you get it? Well, the main thing is that it's a process, and we're going to help you through this process. But the first part of it is there's a 35-hour project management training that has to be done. That's mandatory. Now, you don't have to go on our training course. You can go on any project management training course that makes up the 35 hours. But I'll explain to you in a moment the advantage of going on a course with ourselves, because we are an authorized training partner, which means our course is not just any old course. Our course is the actual exam prep course that's been authorized and approved by the PMI. So you're not going to be learning stuff that's not in the exam. It's a very tailored curriculum for the actual PMP exam that you're going to face. The other thing, besides attending the training, there's a code of ethics. But the big hurdle you have to pass is there's a 180 question multiple choice exam. And this is the real thing we're prepping you for, because it's almost a 4-hour exam. It's 3 hours, 50 minutes to be precise. But we need to help you prepare for that physical and mental struggle, because when is the last time you sat down for that amount of time to do an exam? It's probably back when you were in college. And for some of you, that might be a while back. So it's about getting back into the mindset to train the mind to be able to answer questions, to be able to context switch between scope, scheduling, risk, costs, stakeholder, to be able to answer, 180 questions in, less than, 230 minutes. You've only got it slightly over a minute. So you need to have your brain nearly back up to game speed, is what I would say. So we help you with the training. We help you with explain the code of ethics to you. And there's nothing hard about, that code of ethics. Is very similar to what you would have in your own code of ethics in your own company. But it's the exam really is what we're helping you with, preparing you for that exam. And I'll explain more in a moment what supports are available. Being an authorized training partner, though, is important. Just to touch on that, there are many training providers, but not all of them are PMI approved, which means they could have curriculum developed, they could have courses developed, but it's not aligned with the exam. And also, because we're an approved provider, our trainers had to go on a course by the PMI on how to deliver this training. So there's a lot of insight into the exam, a lot of insight into the knowledge, a lot of insight into different aspects of project management that a standard project management training course may not cover. So if you're convinced you're thinking about going for it, the one thing we have to do then is help you meet some of the criteria. You can't just sign up, pay up, and say, I'm going for the PMP. We have to fill in an application form with you. And the PMI's criteria is if you have 3 years of project management experience, you can apply. But we need to document that with you. Now, we have a simple Excel file that helps you calculate your experience because 3 years there's roughly 200 working days a year, 7 hours a day. So it's 1,500 hours a year. We have to document 4,500 hours, but it's only a short description. But we have to take your project, whatever you've done, and describe it in language that the PMI would understand. And very often this is hard for some people because the language they speak in their company might be a different language to the project management language I would speak or the PMI would speak. So we help you craft your paragraph of text. It's only 200 words. And again, some people come to me and they say, Seamus, I wasn't called the project manager. I'd say, but were you scoping? Oh, yeah. Were you providing estimates? Yeah. Were you sending progress reports? Yes. Were you holding risk workshops? Yes. But that's project management. So what you're trying to do is understand what aspect of your work was project management. But in your company, you might have been called something different. So we might have some people coming to me, but they're called the project engineer at work, but effectively what they're doing is project management. So it's about talking to people really and helping them, I suppose, look at the projects they have done and managed and looking at the work they have done and saying, okay, that is a project. There was a scope, a timeline, a cost. There was people, there was resources, there were stakeholders. That is a project. Now let's describe it in 200 words and put in the form and submit it. Okay. If you do not have a degree, you need to document 5 years. Now, again, that's no problem. Many people will have, you can go back up to 8 years in your life to document the experience required. So we'll work with you to do that. But if you're less than 3 years out of college, you cannot do the PMP. Okay. So if you have a degree, you need to at least have 3 years of space between you and that leaving of college to apply. Okay. So that's the first thing you should keep in mind. The other thing I want to draw your attention to, I suppose, is historically, sometimes people who did the PMP felt it was very much about processes. And anyone that would have done the PMP, like myself, 20 odd years ago, it was very much focused on, inputs, outputs, and tools and techniques of processes. And it was difficult for some people because maybe it wasn't. Some people would say, oh, that's what you need to do for the exam, but real life is different. And there was an element of truth to that because some people couldn't understand how to take some of these processes and apply them to real life. But the PMI have totally changed the exam because projects no longer just produce deliverables. Projects really need to bring benefit. So we still have people executing processes, but we have people executing processes in a business environment that's constantly changing with a view to bringing value to the organization. Okay, so it's not just the original produce that deliverable and throw it over and hopefully we can get some benefit. The concept of benefit and value is now running through the course. And to supplement that idea, it's not just the original, waterfall type approach. There's a lot of agile concepts now also covered in the course because the idea of delivering benefit incrementally and sooner in the project and not waiting for a big handover at the end, that's also now a huge part of the course as well. Okay, so the approach, the new mindset, is it's about value, it's about benefit. And really, if you're a traditional or if you've been working in project management, this will give you that broader context that you need because the business wants benefit. The business doesn't just want you to produce a deliverable. And if you're talking to people further up your organization, they're not interested in how cool this is or how novel your concept is. They're thinking, what's the benefit? When will we get the benefit? How will we measure the benefit, etc., etc. Okay, so just make that clear in your head, is that the PMP is no longer just a kind of a memory exam of inputs, outputs, tools, and techniques. It is a very practical course now, and some people come on this course without doing the exam, purely to get the knowledge. Okay, so we would have a cohort of people that come and say, Seamus, I just want the knowledge. I'm not doing the certification. But after they do the course, they end up nearly doing the certification in it because of other value in terms of pay and everything else. But you will have certain people come on the course just for the knowledge. Okay. Has the exam changed? And I suppose, yeah, it has. And the makeup of the exam is very important, because what you don't want to do is spend a whole load of time studying stuff that's not coming up and missing whole other sections of the exam. So the exam now is still 50% based on process, scoping, scheduling, risk, and things, concepts like that. But 42% of the exam now is around people. And if you think about it, if you're a project manager, it's people doing the work at the end of the day. And you got to be able to manage those people. So concepts in there around resource management, stakeholder management, communication, emotional intelligence, conflict resolution, all those ideas are now packed into the course as well. And there's 8% of the exam focusing on business awareness. Concepts like net present value, strategic alignment, ROI, so giving you more tools, more concepts, more language to allow you articulate and discuss your project with people interested in the business, as opposed to just interested in deliverables or technology. But 50% of the exam will have an agile focus. Now, again, this does frighten some people initially, because they'll say, I'm totally new to agile. But don't worry about that, because that's my problem, to try and train you and give you the concepts. And for some people, it's a great eye opener, because they might have been completely in the dark about what agile is. But when they come on the course, they go, oh, yeah, I can see now how that could be useful in a certain scenario. And I think I want to know more about agile. I think I'll take a separate course on agile. That's fine if you want. But we will give you enough knowledge in the course on agile, so you will be able to tackle the exam. If you want to go further then to develop further skills in that, that's fine as well. We can cater for that. But don't be worried about agile, even if you do not come from an agile background. The exam is 180 questions, nearly 4-hour exam. There are 2 10-minute breaks after each 60 questions. So again, it's about timing, it's about time management, it's about setting that cadence for yourself and getting it right. When I did the exam, there was no breaks. It was 4 hours straight through, 200 questions. So it's a bit more humane now, in that the clock stops and you can take a break and gather your thoughts and go again. So I would often say to people, it's like 3 sprints. Okay, for those of you who understand agile. People often say to me, if I read the PMBOK, the project management body of knowledge from the PMI, will I pass the exam? And the answer is no, right? The exam is no longer based on the PMBOK. The exam is based on multiple sources. And these are the 10 books that it's currently based on. Now, for God's sake, don't go off buying the 10 books and reading them because you still won't pass the exam, because these 10 books have been condensed down into the curriculum and the set of notes for the exam. So key concepts from these books have been taken and condensed down into a digestible format. It's not for you to go off to read these 10 books. I've read the 10 books and I've been on the course and I've done all this stuff, and then I've practiced it in industry. So you only remember 10% of what you read. But so if you went off reading all this stuff, you'll have forgotten some of it by the time you get to the end of the first book. Let me worry about that. It's condensed down with the PMI as a set of notes. The set of notes is all you need. You do not need the PMBOK. You do not need any other materials. Everything you need will be supplied by us. Okay? Just to give you a brief look at the course internally, I suppose, just so you come on the course saying, oh yeah, I knew what I'm getting myself into. Some of the courses are done over 4 days, long days. Some people take it over 5 days. There are 6 lessons in the course. And you can see them here. They're very much, the business environment, then starting the project, planning, executing, really managing the team, and then closing out. Below that, topic one really is all about that business context. Where do projects come from? How projects implement the strategy of the organization. They talk about how to describe benefits. Are they tangible, intangible, financial, non-financial? It talks about the change the project will bring to the organization and how to understand that change management aspect of it, because projects are change agents at the end of the day. So you need to factor that in. If your project really is to bring benefit, you may have to have a change in the organization. And that opening chapter, this module here, is so valuable, because I've seen many projects where people have produced some deliverable but haven't taken into account the change, the training, the culture, all those things that need to change if this project is going to really bring value and benefit. It talks about governance and talks about the need for compliance. Many projects have a huge compliance overhead. And again, it's to make you aware of that and the risks to compliance. And so it's giving you that foundation stone in the first module. Once that's in place, you get into the concept then of, I suppose, starting the project, which is very like initiation, building a shared understanding and all that. That's going to really tease out your project charter. Then determining the project approach is all about, are we going to be waterfall here? Are we going to be agile? Is it going to be some mixture of the two, et cetera, et cetera? And then we get into typical PM stuff that many people would be familiar with: scoping, scheduling, resourcing, budgeting, risk. But the whole idea is integrating those plans into an overall plan for the project and getting that signed off. So you have the concept here, so of business initiating and then planning the project. The next lesson up, then we see lesson 4. It's all about, leading the team. It's about executing the plan, getting the team to do the work, getting that team to work together, sorting out conflict, managing the stakeholders, getting work done, so to speak. Then it talks in module 5 about, it's really kind of, I suppose, monitoring and control in the traditional sense. But, if you have, you know, it's all about performance reporting. It's on about sorting out issues, removing roadblocks, because the concept in the PMP is very much around servant leader. The historic view would have been the teamwork for the project manager. The view now is you are the servant leader, where you don't work for the team, don't work for you, you work for the team. And it's about getting that mindset into people that you're there to remove roadblocks, making sure there's no obstacles and impediments in their way to allow them to get the work done. Last module then is all about closure, lessons learned, closing out, making sure we realize the benefit. And that's the thing that was weak in many project managers. They felt, my job is done, I'm out of here. But the real good project managers will realize their job is done when we start to make sure that the benefit will be realized. So that proper handover at the end. But there's also a big thing now in knowledge transfer, because sometimes companies do projects, but they don't document the knowledge very well. So then when they have to do a similar project, they have to start from scratch again. Good companies know they'll capture knowledge, they share that knowledge. And again, we'll talk about that in the course. The last little bit of this: what support do we provide to you? Well, at the end of the day, the Velopi, we're part of Educate 360. We provide an end-to-end process for PMP certification. Everything from helping you with your application, getting you through that formal, 35 hours education. But the big things we give you is we give you mock exams or trial exams on a learning management system. Now, this is vital because those questions are at the exam standard. So if you're passing our simulator, you will pass the exam. If you're failing our simulator, you will fail the exam. So we're constantly updating the standard of question in here. We're constantly improving this. We're staying in line and step with the PMI. If they're changing the curriculum, we're changing our exams. So we're in a pretty good position to make sure you're not going to see something on the day that's totally foreign to what you've been prepared for. And if you're struggling with our mock exams, we've got these sessions you can dial into to discuss the challenges you're facing. And you might say, Seamus, look, I'm really struggling here. I got all the questions on budgeting wrong, or I got all the questions on risk wrong. I'm missing something. And you explain the concept again. And people say, I got that now. Okay, that moves the needle. It moves me 5, 10%. So it's a case of working with us over a time frame up until the exam date. People often ask, how long will this process take? And I'll always say, well, how smart are you? How much experience have you? Because the thing about it is, some people might have a lot of experience. Some people are very, very smart. They come on the course, they take it very quickly. They're good at, understanding based on their experience. They take a lot from the class. Other people have life and work and holidays and different things. So it takes them longer to work through the process. So I suppose in all my time, I could hundreds of people trained in different classes. No two people in the class will take the exam on the same date. The exam date is self-selected. It depends on you and your readiness. So you'll put a plan together saying, I'm going to do the exam on this date. You can do the exam from home, or you can do the exam from a test center. So you log on to the site, you look at the available dates, and you can just book a slot. So if you go to a test center, it'll show you all the available slots. You pick one, you go to the test center, you present your ID, you go in and you do the exam. If you're doing it from home, it's what's called a proctored exam, in that you switch on your camera, you log into a portal, and somebody watches you and monitors you while you are doing the exam, making sure that your desk stays clean, that you haven't anybody else in the room helping you, etc., etc. Okay. So that's basically it. I've already covered this concept of agile. As I said, we'll help you with that in the course. Detailed experience is not required. Okay. Now, again, it's a great eye opener to what agile is, and we'll go into reasonable depth, but you do not need to be a Scrum Master to pass the PMP. The learning management system, will make this available to you so you can access it anywhere. And you'll be given a key, and that key is unique to you. And you can access the materials, I think, for 6 months after the course or something like that. Now, some people will work their way through the process in 6, 8 weeks. Some people might take 6 months. But again, we'll advise you of all those timelines. But all the materials are made available to you: soft copy, videos, other learning aids, mock exams, etc. They're all available to you. It's in a learning management system, so it'll be able to track your progress and you'll be able to see how you're progressing. The question types are all multiple choice. There is no negative marking, so that's a positive. And they're typically, 4 answers, pick one. But there may be some other questions where we drag and drop and different other types of questions, but our simulator will have prepped you for those. Last, I suppose, really is, why take the course with us? Well, our trainers are approved, our company is approved, our materials are from the PMI. You get access to mock exams. You get everything you need to pass the exam, really. And it's a tried and trusted process at this point for passing the PMP. If you're not ready for the PMP just yet, you might consider one of the courses leading up to this. You might decide to do something like a PM Essentials course initially and work your way up to the PMP over the next few years. So again, everyone's on a different journey. Everyone's at a different point in their career experience-wise. So some people will go straight in saying, I need to do the PMP, I need to get it. Other people might say, Seamus, I'm new to project management. I need to do something less initially, but I'm going to get there over the next 12, 18 months. So again, talk to us and we'll advise you. I'm not going to drop you in at the deep end if you haven't got the experience and there's a danger it's going to be too much for you. But again, we'll help you talk your way through that. Okay. Is there any questions from anybody? I'll take them because I'm very conscious of time. And so I won't go on any further. So Mariella, is there any questions there from anybody? Or have I covered most of the obvious stuff that people wanted to know?
Hey, Seamus. Yeah, I think we covered a good majority, but I will give us a minute to throw any last minute questions. And if anyone in the audience needs any more info on this topic, please do not be afraid to visit us at velopi.com. And if you missed out on any part of this session, we will be sharing a recording with all of you in an email after the webinar. Believe that should be it for us. So thanks again, Seamus.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody, for attending, and best of luck. All right. Take care now. Bye bye.
Absolutely. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Thank you so much. We'll see you very soon. Bye.
All right.